Let me tell you guys a story. It is Monday. The Louisville football team is practicing as they are during spring practice. They're having a great practice. Jeff Brom is coaching up the guys. They're having a good practice. Then the athletic director, Josh Hurd, comes down to practice because he wants to speak with head football coach Jeff Brom. And from there, chaos. Welcome into the Cardinal Companion. Welcome on into the Cardinal Companion. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when and where you are watching in from. I am Josh, as always. First and foremost, I want to apologize. My voice might sound a little raspy today. I naturally have to do a lot of yelling for my job, and I worked until 1 a.m. last night yelling, so still kind of getting back the old vocal tones. But luckily, I got some nice coffee here to help. No sponsorship yet. So I gave you the very TLDR, the short and dirty of it. Josh Hurd went to a practice for the football team. That doesn't sound out of the ordinary, does it? Well, the information that's came out makes it a lot of out of the ordinary. Today is April 3rd. We are, I guess, 3 days removed. So Monday was actually the 31st, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not good with dates. If you are like on any Louisville, if you're on any social media, you're a Louisville fan. If you listen to, the local sports talk radio in the market, if you're here on YouTube, if you're in any of these Discords, which I highly suggest you joining the Cardinal Companion Discord, the link is in the bio and it is completely free. Or if you're on a message board or anything like that and you pay for those services, you've heard all this. Shoot. You might have heard me talking about it on Monday night. I hosted a live show on Monday night on my Twitter at Tropics Cards, which I, again, highly suggest you follow. Pretty good content, right? Link is in the bio. There's been more that's come out about it. That's the short and dirty. Realistically, talking about that conversation, for what we know now, Josh Hurd has kind of drug his feet on the Jeff Brom contract extension, and Jeff Brom's camp hasn't heard from Josh Hurd about a contract extension, and from what I've heard, 2 months. It's been kind of put on the back burner. And why is that volatile? Well, in the current athletic cycle, the athletic year, I guess, what is about to happen? Well, the basketball team is about to start going in the portal to get guys. And as we all know, Josh Hurd really fought to keep Jeff Brom in this off season. Josh, he had a fight against Penn State and Michigan and a few other programs that I don't know have been made public to keep Jeff Brom here. And Jeff Brom has some very good offers, primarily from Penn State. Now, why does the basketball team matter in that? Well, back in December, when these contract negotiations were going on and we were trying to keep Jeff Brom here, yada, 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 there's a lot of promises made to Jeff Brom, specifically about NIL and how much NIL he can get. And right now, it's very obvious Jeff has a very increased NIL war chest. You look at what they retain in the portal, primarily in Isaac Brown. That's what I would argue. You look what they did in the portal, the 5th-ranked portal class, and you look what they're currently doing in high school football with their recruiting, the 9th-ranked high school class, depending on what service you use, obviously. And it's only April. That'll change. They're doing really well. They've done well recruiting pretty much since Jeff didn't get the Penn State job. So obviously there were some NIL promises that were made. And, maybe those promises are kind of try to be taken away. I don't know. I can't speak on that, but naturally that's the conclusion I would draw. The whole point of the argument, though, is that it comes down to a buyout, from my understanding. The athletic department wants Jeff Brom to have a significant buyout. I've heard in the range from $5 to $8 million, which is significant in this situation. Jeff Brom wants a $1 million buyout, and he wants a $1 million buyout so he can hold the university accountable for their NIL promises. Point blank. If he has a $1 million buyout, Jeff Brom is the hottest coaching candidate every single year. And you're going to have to put trust into Jeff Brom, which you should. He's a Louisville guy, grew up in the city. He's a South End guy. He's a Louisville fan. His family is Louisville football royalty. He will stay at the University of Louisville if given the opportunity. I can tell you that personally. And there's been a lot of broken trust there in that relationship between the athletic director, Josh Hurd, and Jeff Brom. Point blank, Josh Hurd did not believe that Jeff Brom has or had an official offer from Penn State. And because he did not believe that, Jeff got very upset. And I can tell you, Jeff had a very good offer from Penn State. $10.5 million per year salary. His staff salary, probably close to around, I'd say $7-8 million, pretty good. NIL budget, almost $30 million. That's a great offer. That's honestly better than the offer that Jeff has been kind of coordinating and working on with the University of Louisville. From my understanding, Jeff wants $8.5 million. He wants a good chunk of NIL money, and he wants a good chunk for his staff. Not as much as Penn State, though. Because let's be completely honest with ourselves. Where the University of Louisville is right now in their conference and as an athletics department, we probably can't give you what Penn State's getting. And going back to basketball, you do have that issue in the University of Louisville athletics department. How much do you realistically fund U of L basketball? We all say it all the time. Louisville's a basketball school. Okay, that's fine. Louisville cannot afford to be a basketball school in the AC. You have to prioritize football the way the college athletics are going. We just did a huge video talking about this white page that U of L put out, kind of outlining what is happening to athletics departments. And a massive takeaway from that was, hey, football makes a lot. We all know football makes a lot of money. It makes a lot more money than we thought. Just point blank. And going back to that white page, the athletic department, the president's office did not consult the football program on that at all. And it kind of, from what I've been told, it's kind of taken out of left field. They didn't expect it, and it just kind of happened, which that's not a big deal, but something to keep in mind. So really what we're doing is we're painting a picture now of a massive disconnect between the athletics department and the football staff. And that's not good. It's not good at all. We watched the SEC enough, primarily in that conference, where we see these power struggles happen. And what do you do when these power struggles happen? Well, typically somebody leaves. And yeah, more often than not, it's the athletic director themselves. Not calling for anybody's job, might I say. But what I can tell you is that as the average Louisville fan, Jeff Brom being at the university is more important than Josh Hurd being at the university. So take that as you will, where I stand on the situation. I think, honestly, if it is true that, Josh Hurd is kind of going back on the promises he made to Jeff Brom back in December with this whole going to Penn State thing, these verbal agreements, and now he is kind of not believing Jeff. I think that trust is broken, if you want my honest opinion. And I don't know how you get that back. I'm not a discourse counselor or anything of that nature. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. But I can tell you that that's a hard barrier to overcome, a trust barrier, especially in a business relationship, because at the end of the day, that is what the athletic director and head football coach relationship boils down to, is a business relationship. You have to trust the people you're doing business with. And I don't feel like that the football program can do that right now. So where do we go from here is my number one question that I've been asked, and, that kind of we go about. Well, from what I can tell you, a lot of people that work in the athletics department, a few members of the EULA board, are not happy that the story got out and that this even happened in the first place, to be completely honest with you. I think a deal with Jeff Brom is done for a contract extension. I think it's done fairly soon because of this blow up. And I honestly think that is outside of Josh Hurd's hands. And from there, we'll see what happens. I don't think that the university will go back on the verbal promises they've made to Jeff Brom. And if they do, what does that say about the university? So that's just my thoughts. If you enjoyed this conversation and you want to hear more topics like this, please like, share, subscribe, all of that great stuff. It really helps out the channel. Small improvements every day on the channel. As you can tell, the video quality looks a little bit better. That is not paid for by you. We do not ask you guys for money, but a subscription goes a long way in paying those bills. Thank you again. We'll catch you next time, and go Cards.